Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa and
Cynthia Caughie
here on NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Audible, Amazon Music, iTunes, TuneIn, Rumble, Tiki Live, Podchaser, Spreaker, and probably 28 more platforms. Why so many? Because I want to expand and maximize my splatter zone for more hope and happiness. Because I'm on a happy 88 mission, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. So I have topics and guests and special series to that end. And it is Fired Up Fridays with Dr. Marissa and
Cynthia Caughie.
And we're here to make sure that you wrap up this week in the most positive way and launch yourself into the weekend where you can juice your life and be fired, #UP, unlimited possibilities. And so delighted to have my special co-host every single Friday morning. Please welcome back to my studio, Cynthia Caughie. Hold on one second. I'm doing the soundboard here. And hopefully you enjoyed that. Did that come through the applause?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
I'm happy. Happy and 88% okay. I am
Tired?
Yeah, you saw that last night, huh? I don't know why I think I can go with 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night. I think I can. And then like this morning when the alarm went off, I'm like, oh, did I really stay out till 1 a.m. at the Newport Beach Film Festival? And did I really stay up posting? I was having such a good time that I was like, oh crap, I didn't do the show promo. I'm like, holy craftsmanship. I better get on that. So I apologize. Usually I have it by 8 p.m. But so I'm sure Cynthia's like, are we having a show?
I was like,
really?
And then I was like, oh, I get to sleep in.
Nope. No such
I almost text you.
Did you? Okay.
I went to bed late too.
Oh, okay. So let's dive into breakfast. Those of you who are eyeballing us right now, welcome to the show. You can interact with us, and we love it when you do on YouTube, my YouTube channel, on Facebook, and LinkedIn. So I did tag you on LinkedIn. It should this time have gone to yours, so people can chime in there, give us your 8 cents worth. And we start the show with taking a bite of our gratitude sandwich, 8 specific things that you're grateful for. So, Cynthia, you start us off. What are you grateful for?
I am so grateful that I got up when that alarm went off because I went to bed late too. I was like, oh boy. I set 2.
Oh, you beat me. But I got up at 6:10. We're having a competition of how little sleep. This is sick. This is 2 overachievers.
You beat me though. I didn't get up until 6:30. I was all
okay.
Wink.
I'm grateful that I love my life. I love the fact that last night I could be in Newport Beach for opening night of the film festival, and it was amazing. And Cynthia was going to try to come down, but she couldn't make it. But I brought you vicariously there, and it was amazing. Kudos to Greg Schenk, who's the executive director, and my bud, who just plowed through COVID and did so much. It was such a classy event. And my second gratitude, I'll just do the as the report out. The film Weird Al Yankovic's non-documentary was very, very funny, and the Harry Potter was the lead in that film, not as Harry Potter, but the actor, and it was super funny. I honestly was not interested that much. Sorry, Al. And then I watched it. It was so good. So if it comes out on theaters, you should watch it. You will laugh your patooties off. So there's you are grateful for.
What did I say already? Oh yeah, I was grateful I got up. I was grateful for my coffee delivery this morning.
Okay. I hear you. I'm grateful that I hit the gym and the pool as an extra dose of stimulation to wake me up this morning.
I did see that. I am grateful that I made it to the show on time.
Me too. That's my last gratitude, and I'm grateful that I always have this very smart phone to use as a backup. I troubleshooting is a lot of trouble.
Are you on your phone right now?
Yeah, I am. You couldn't tell?
I can kind of tell just because of the angle. No, I could just kind of tell because of the angle. But so still computer problems, huh? How do I sound?
You sound great. And we're testing out all things. I spent 28 hours after our show last time troubleshooting this, and we thought we got it down. And Monday and Tuesday were okay, and then trouble started again. So we just continue to know that I can't wait to see what good comes out of this. All right, and then to the bottom of the bun, 4 things that we appreciate about ourselves, which is so important. So we're not walking around with our antenna, who likes me literally, who approves of me. The most important thing, if you can't approve of yourself, how the fork do you expect other people to approve of you, is what I like to say. So what do you like about yourself, Cynthia?
I love my thirst for knowledge. I appreciate that I always want to learn.
I appreciate my faith in that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that everything always works out for me. In the end, sometimes everything's going to be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end.
There you go. It's not okay. It's not the end. I like that. I appreciate my positivity.
I appreciate my ability to laugh at myself.
I'm just I've had some good time to think about this, but my heart, I appreciate my heart, the healing process of your heart. Some people don't do it, but I appreciate the fact that it is a process.
Beautiful. And I appreciate that I'm thoughtful.
I appreciate that I am loving.
And you are. And I appreciate that I am fashionable.
You are. You so are. I saw your outfit last night out there. That was awesome.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna up my game a little.
Yeah. All right. And there you go. That is having breakfast with Dr. Marissa and Cynthia. I am happy that you had breakfast with us. And it is Fired Up Friday, and Cynthia is going to take over as I try to transfer back onto the computer. Just warning you now. You get to introduce our topic for the day, which she actually chose. So, because I would stay on the phone, but I can't access your knuckleball. So that's the reason why I want to get back on the computer for our commercials. But if it doesn't work, I'll be back. But don't freak out.
Okay, well, this is really, really interesting for me. So, okay, thank you. Goodbye. All right. Good morning, everybody. It is Fired Up Friday, and I'm with Dr. Marissa. She is doing some technical testing right now. And our topic for today, and this is quite funny. How
That was fast.
so quick. How or when do you know it's time to move on to a new chapter in your book of romance? So when I proposed the topic, I didn't know it was specifically on romance. Good morning, David.
Good morning.
And I think that it is an interesting topic because I don't know that I'm the best one. And so when I proposed the topic, I said, it's a little bit of everything in life. When do you know when it's the right time to move on? When do you know when to change that job? When do you know when to move into a new home? When do you know when to, all of your efforts and maybe just a business relationship are done, right? But romance is so big in our lives, right? I think we focus a lot on it. And when I said I appreciate the healing of my heart, I've learned that it kind of all comes from there. The amount of emotion you put into any decision, right? Doesn't always have to be strategic. It's mostly emotion. And that comes from your heart. And your heart is love.
So pretty. And it's funny because I just went to the relationship side of that and did the promo on it because that's what I thought you were talking about, which is why I was teasing you about that because
I know.
But anyways, it is true. So when to hold and when to fold, okay? When to continue on as continuing on, or when to make a left or a right on that path was your general suggestion for the topic. So we can pull it all up. I know that one of my favorite topics is because of the coaching I do with relationship people who are asking that question. I went through that myself when I went to a therapist and I said, okay, do I have permission to go? Because I've done everything that you prescribed and it's still not working. So I have some happy 88 tips on that I'll share for the show. But let's just, as usual, live out loud and personalize this and see what comes up. Or down. So a couple things popped in my head is when it's time for a change, I know that there's a strong desire to stay with what's comfortable, even when it is not necessarily the most practical or useful or beneficial for yourself. So making changes, whether it is that move or whether it is a new relationship or whether it is, buying something that's maybe a big purchase, it requires some energy to sort of, put the gas down, because coasting is a nice, familiar, easy kind of movement. And so what kinds of questions do you ask yourself on whether or not to make that change?
Well, that's a great intro because I think that we don't know how, right? I think there's so many complexities and so many people just want it to be easy. So many people just want it to be easy. And then they go, oh, well, this isn't easy, so I'm just going to give it up. Or it's not really what I want because it's not that easy. And I've found, and this is something that I truly, truly believe, is you have to do the work. You know, it's not just a quick fix. And I talked about symptoms and the root cause yesterday. It's funny how the universe kind of brings things up for you, right? It's funny how you just start talking about something and then it hits you. And so I look at things differently, of course, but I really do believe that you have to figure out what the root is. If you're not happy with something, what's the root? Not the symptom, but what's the root?
Give me an example.
She's all, give me an example. Well, just in general, okay, just in any relationship, right? Your symptom is a response, right? Or a reaction, right? Well, what's the root of the reaction? Is there a trigger there? Is there a hurt there? Is there something that happened to you in the past, right? So whose job is that to figure it out? Is it really the other person's fault? Or is it just that you don't know inside, right? What's making you do that? What is the root cause? And I've found that even me, you got to do the work. You got to dig. You have to ask yourself the question. And I use why, and it's simple, but you have to learn how to do it. You really have to learn how to dig and ask yourself that hard question. And it seems simple, but we don't do it.
Okay, let me try to give an example. Because I want us to like ground this in something that people can actually relate to. That's the only reason why I'm pushing you on the example. So I blamed my husband for years for him being the cause of my unhappiness, right? Why doesn't he listen? Why doesn't he compliment? Why doesn't he value? Why doesn't he show appreciation? Blah, 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 blah. And I don't know if I told this story. Does this sound familiar? I came home from a business trip. I don't want to repeat myself too much, although it might have been a while ago. But I came back from a business trip, and he didn't even look up. He did not look up when I walked into the TV room. He was watching, I don't know, it doesn't matter. And I was so pissed. That was it. You know, one more time. Stomped up the stairs, dove under the comforter. Why doesn't he? And then all of a sudden, silence. And then this voice said, do you approve of yourself? Do you compliment yourself? Do you value yourself? And it was like, OMG. And I think it's an example of what you're talking about. The hard work was I had to really dig deep in my life to say, why did I go from, growing up with a mom who wouldn't approve of me, and then pick a man who also didn't approve of me? That's all me. That was my stuff. And when I owned that it was my work to approve of myself and start that journey of self-love and self-care, that I could leave that relationship. Because honestly, I had tried to leave him 5 times prior. 5 times prior. The 5th time I actually filed for divorce the first time, and then he said, let's go to a relationship therapist, and I said okay, so stop that process. And then another 3 years later, when it was, thank goodness he had an affair, because that finally gave me the strength, the inner strength. And I was at parallel time doing that self-love work. So why do I continue to put myself in this situation where I am not valued? And the straw that broke the camel's back, or the best example of not being cared for, is when someone you're with chooses someone else to have
Right.
that connection with.
Right.
So I am grateful, and I will always be grateful for this thing that happened to me. At the time, it was horrible. The divorce was, very ugly. And it was, glue on the car. And, he put up a sign, disillusioned with marriage, seeking Asian woman or Caucasian woman. He found it on Craigslist. He put it up all over town. But now, reflecting back, everything happened to happen because I got half custody of the children because he pulled that stuff. So all of it stemmed on doing what you just said. That when did I know? When was it right for me to go? After I had done the work that examined the root cause. It wasn't him, it was me. I was choosing.
I think part of it is we go with what we know, right? It's
For sure.
just what we know. And to me, this is why it's one of my passions. Self-development is huge for me. And I want to share this message so that people get to it sooner, right? Sometimes you have all of these life experiences, and I go back and forth because there's a plan for you, right? So maybe you were supposed to meet this person and you have to go through this in order to learn to get to that next level of your life, right?
Sure.
But the tools in your toolbox, you can sharpen those tools, right? You can learn some of these things before it's too late. Sometimes I believe that, yes, you have to go through things for a reason, but you can be better equipped to go through them. There was something that I learned, and it was interesting to me because I've actually been married twice. And the very first time, it was right out of high school. I was super young. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything. I knew he was my best friend and he was secure, and I didn't have the best home life at the time. And so I was like, yes, let's do it. So we did it. And we were great friends. And then we started to grow apart. And so then the next time I was married, found a great guy, had my 3 lovely ladies, and we're still really great friends to this day. But there was something in me that was lacking. There was something in me that I was searching for. So it wasn't the men, it was me. And one day my girlfriend said to me, "You're dating the same man with a different head." That was all I know. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And it's the pattern. It's the choosing the same traits because it's what I know, right? It's what I know.
Yeah.
There was something that also was interesting to me, and I think about things differently now, right? So I was just going with the comfort and things and the outcome, and it wasn't always inside of me that I was searching for, right? It was always somebody else, that partner. And so I heard something in church, and it was interesting to me. God will keep giving you the lessons until you learn. So the same guy, different head, more tests, more lessons until you learn. It's not them. It was me.
Mm-hmm.
What did I need to change? What did I need to realize inside of me so that I could be the best version of myself, so that the next partner I have will be able to, I don't want to say put up with me, but at my birthday dinner, my mother and my children were like, "Mom, you're a little much." Yeah, it was hilarious. It was hilarious.
That's awesome.
Fun fact, the man I was seeing was there. So that was great.
Oh.
Yeah. So
No.
truth comes out. Everything's on the table. I'm like, well, I know him a lot and I like it. But okay, so that was the fun part of it. But the root again is it's me, right? What do I know about myself? What am I What am I learning? What is the lesson? What do I need to do to become better, to become the best version of me so that I can be in a healthy relationship that is for both of us, right? That was my point.
That's pretty funny. When my kids were young, my youngest one would introduce me to her friends and say, "This is my mom. She's a little weird." And I was like, "Thanks, honey." But weird is good. Weird is good. If you've just tuned in and you're wondering who's on my virtual stage today, it is my fabulous Friday, Fired Up Friday, going up with Cynthia Caughie, co-host here on Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa and
Cynthia Caughie.
And we're so delighted that you're here. I see eyeballs all over. A big shout out and 3 hearts back at you, David, who put his comments there. Please do comment with us if you have any questions or comments, because we just love interacting, and we'll put your comment on the screen. And we're talking today about when to hold, when to fold, making changes in your life, when you know you should leave a relationship and start a new chapter in the book of your romance book, as I like to call it, or any kinds of changes. What were the things that gave you the motivation or impetus, or when you know that you should do, be, or have something different? And I know that I had to get to a place. Thank you for the hearts and the thumbs ups, by the way, giving us the thumbs up. When I coach couples who have children, especially, that whole, I'm staying for the children. We have to make this work until they're 18 and out of the house. That's bullshit talkie. I don't know anybody who has children who actually benefited from any couple staying together. And kids aren't stupid, and they can feel the tension. They can feel what's going on. And divorce, thank goodness, divorce is not the horrific thing that it used to be for the generations past. I want to balance that out with some people leave too quickly, and they say, "I'm out of here. This is too much." But for me, the $1 million question, or why is divorce so expensive? Is this worth it? No. The $1 million question before you leave a relationship when you have children is, can you look in your child's eyes and say, we did everything we possibly could to bring out the best in each other with each other, and we have decided that we don't, and it's not fair to you, and it's not fair to us to continue bringing pain to each other and on you. And that's have you done whatever it takes to do that? And some of the things that I coach on is, one, you have to start having sex again, because that's usually one of the first things that goes when you start having problems, and when you don't have that intimate connection. It's very difficult to have a connection without that physical part. Holding hands, speaking through all of the disagreements, having a shelf life on past hurts, things like that. So all of those are tools that are used that help you decide whether or not to leave that relationship.
I think there's 2 very important things there. One is the heart, getting that connection, staying with what's truly in there. Sometimes our head gets, all cloudy and it runs away with us, and we make all of these big problems where there really isn't, right? You take one little thing and you just run with it and you spiral, because it's either something you think you want, right? Or maybe something you think you don't want, and you just let it spiral. I truly believe that the work you do in your heart will guide almost everything in your life. These last 2 years, the work I have done in my heart has been absolutely amazing. And I didn't think it was that bad. Like, I didn't think I had that many wounds or scars or triggers or whatever you want to call them. I'm happy 88% of the time because I bring myself joy. And when we made the decision to split right before we told our kids, we actually gave it a couple of months still together. And it had been years. And, it's one of those things where you evaluate. So there's the two parts. There's the heart, right? And then you evaluate strategically. And I know that sounds bad, right? Because it's love, but you really do, because there's two sides to it. There really is two sides to it. Is it really the best decision? Are you doing it in haste? Should you give it a little bit more time? I mean, we had been married for 13 years. We were together. I know all the counting, but we were together 13 years. We have 3 beautiful girls. And what is it? And the question that you said was so good. Have we done everything we possibly can? And when we're hindering the other person, that's when I truly believe that we need to let it go, that it was our right decision. Yes, we need to let it go for them and for us. And for us.
Yes. And that is a point I hope I remember after break, because that's a perfect segue into remind me that I wanted to say something, but we're going to take a quick break now to thank our sponsors who make this show possible. And if you would like to be a sponsor on this love-hearted, like-minded show, then please do contact me at drmarissa.life for very affordable, starting at $100, that we'll do an endorsement and a shout out for you. And we'll be right back after the break on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa and
Cynthia Caughie
on Fired Up Fridays here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Was the perfect setting for an international film festival.
I'm Kate Beckinsale.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
I'm Milo Ventimiglia. You're at the Newport Beach Film Festival.
Newport Beach, stepping it up.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome back. You are tuned into Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and my YouTube channel, where you can get my past 799 shows. Yes, show 800 will be on Monday. Unbelievable, 546 consecutive weeks. 9.5+ years. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for all of your continued support. And we added this year a wonderful special series. And this is Fired Up Fridays with Cynthia, Caughie, and Dr. Marissa. So delighted to have you here. And I'm looking at my, oh, there you are. Okay. I'm going to have to, can you join me? We're trying to multi-platform here. And she's waving at me, request to join, go live. There we go.
Yay!
It's the multiple taxing.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work. Yeah, sorry. You'll have to come over to, can you hear me now on the Instagram?
I can.
Because I turned the volume all the way down. So it is not echoing now. So hopefully that will do it. But so glad that you're here. And we're talking about when to hold and when to fold. How to make changes and how to know when you're making the best possible change. And Cynthia said something earlier about we were reiterating the have we done everything we can before we leave the relationship? Can we look in our kids' eyes? The other point we covered earlier was have you looked at how it's your issue that needs changing? I know. Okay. Thank God. I remembered. I'm going to go buy a lotto ticket when I could remember what I was going to say. A lot of people, after the first 3 months, I call it the first trimester of my pregnancy model of relationships, where the first 3 months are this, you make promises you can't keep. Oh, I feel like I've known this person forever and they're so fabulous and butterflies and everything. And then the second trimester is when you start bloating and feeling badly and nauseous, and you say things like, I can't stand the way blank. I hate when he or she. I can't believe I didn't see these red flags, and this, I don't like this. And as you were saying, Cynthia, earlier, you find one thing wrong and then it goes to 2 and 3 and 4. So it's whatever you focus on grows bigger. Attention is an invitation. I heard that this morning when I was listening to some Abraham Hicks, and it was just like, oh my goodness, attention is an invitation for more. So if you attend to what's wrong with that person, you are inviting them for more of whatever you don't like. And so then it becomes, you're in this relationship. I don't like this about him. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. And it can be in the first date. If this is your orientation, then you're not going to be in a relationship that you're going to enjoy. It is your power of focus to ask, do I like this? Do I like being with this person 80% of the time? I always use 80. I know I say 88 a lot because double good fortune, 8's a homophone for good fortune in Chinese. I know you thought I was Swedish, but it actually means 80% of the time, do I like this person? And that way you grab yourself by the neck and you pull yourself back out of the criticism and look at the whole of the relationship. Do I like that person 80% of the time? And when you have the power to stop looking for things that are wrong, and you can look back and go, you know what, 80%, if I stop looking at what's wrong and focus on the totality of the relationship, 80% of the time, I do like them. I do have a good time. And if you cannot say that, and you say no, 80% of the time, they are an ash hole. I said ash. Then I would say to you, let them go. Because for them, not for you,
right?
Oh, I deserve more, blah, blah, blah. No. Can you imagine what it's like to be with a person who can't stand you 80% of the time? That's torture. let the people go find someone who likes them most of the time before who they are. And that's the point that I wanted to make earlier, because most of the time it's women. Sorry. Most of the time, well, I don't like that, and I don't like that. And then it's like, well, no wonder they don't want to come home. So
I'm thinking, because there's so many things that go along with a relationship. There's just so many facets. And I think it has to do with the stage in life that you're in. I mean, I'm going to call this my second stage. I'm not quite to my third yet. I'm going to say I'm going to live a lot longer. And so in this stage of my life, I just look at things differently. I have different, I don't want to say criteria, but there's things, my priorities, my priorities are different, right? Before it was all love and lust and and flowers and rainbows. I'm a helpless romantic no matter what. I've just found that about myself. I've probably watched one too many chick flicks and all the musicals that I grew up with, but the guy gets the girl and everything's all right? The knight in shining armor and all of the good things. But I've learned that life's just not like that. It's just not like that. And so when you change what you think, it changes how you think. You can always want those things, but is it really realistic, right? What are the realities? What's made up and what's reality? What are you looking for in a relationship? Last week, or maybe it was the week before, you gave the 3 pillars. And I think that it's really important. Everything, for me, there's pros and cons, right? What do you want? What's a deal breaker? And what's like the exception, right? What's like the, when you see that guy and he's like, oh my gosh, it's just crazy. So a lot of people tell me that, they're like, strategically at this point in your life, like, what are you looking for? Like, what do you want, right? And it's always important to figure out what you want. And then it's the flip side is the heart work. Do you have the capacity, right? Do you know what you want in your life, and what are you bringing to the table? Whether it's, like I said, triggers and emotional baggage or anything like that. Have you done some work, right, to heal yourself from those other past relationships, or figured out what it is that happened in the previous one? Yeah, Dr. Marissa, we can't hear you. You're on mute. Oh, sorry.
Oh, it was so brilliant too. So I was saying that when people are bagging on, when women say, I'm getting you good at lip reading. When people say, I want to find someone who loves me for who I am, right? Good, bad, and ugly. But what's interesting is you meet someone and then you start pointing out their flaws. And it's like, wait a minute, what a double standard that is. You want someone to love you for every part of you, and yet you can't return the favor because we're looking for Mr. Perfect. And I know men do this too, but I most often hear those kinds of critical statements from women because we want what we want, or we were hoping, like you said, the conditioning for this perfect relationship, and it just doesn't exist. Because in reality, but 80% is a great number. 80% of the time, if you can find someone that you really have a good time with.
And that's really part of it. It's what you focus on. Like if you do focus on their flaws, right?
Yep.
I will say I have, drink my own poison or whatnot, whatever you want to say, right? It's interesting when you're self-aware, you can pick that out. I just had an experience where I was doing that. I was focusing on the thing that was sticking out. It's not necessarily a flaw, right? It's the way the person is. And now my thing is I want to meet you where you are, right? You don't have to be perfect. I don't have to like that one particular thing about you. But can we come together, right? And let it not bother us. Let us not focus on it. Let us do something else, right? And then you know what happens? It fades. It doesn't stick out the way it did in the beginning because we were focusing on it, which is what we were talking about in the beginning. And it's a crazy, very fine tuning of what's in here. It's really not that important. That one little thing, if it's only one thing, but you make it this huge thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I say don't make it a big deal. I mean, if it's a deal breaker, then it's a deal breaker. But
right. I mean, things like smoking, overconsumption of alcohol, drug beyond recreational use, extreme rudeness. I mean, those are my deal breakers where it's just like, I just can't, but things like leaving the toilet seat up, squeezing the toothpaste different, leaving the clothes around. Honestly, I call it, they're INTBOHD, INTBOHD. It's not that big of a hairy deal. And that's what you're talking about, Cynthia, that whole, because you can make that a deal breaker if you choose to, but if you choose to make that a deal breaker, you're not going to, you like squeeze your pool of available partners because, you're not going to find someone that is perfect in every way. I don't know anybody who has a partner who's perfect in every way. The most successful relationships I know is when both people focus on the 80% that is good and works for them,
right?
Instead of that 20%.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that one of my deal breakers right now in life, in a relationship in life, is the growth process. If you are just who you are and you don't want to change and you don't want to grow, it's just not the right one for me. I believe every day I learn and every day I get better. There's always something to learn. There's always something that we could do better. Not necessarily change, right? I don't want to change somebody. If I change in the process, that's great. But it's not for everybody. I understand that. And it's just one of those things that at this particular stage of my life, before I didn't even know about, the growth process and what that means, but basically just to be open-minded, not to be closed and say, this is the way I am and this is the way it's going to be and you're not going to change me. That's really difficult for me. But the ease and the bend and the, let's explore that, or let's have a conversation about that, or maybe let's just come together and say, let's have an open mind, right? About who knows what it could be. I mean, I'm willing to just listen. And I think that is so important in a relationship, to listen.
What?
Exactly. Wait, let me say it again. Listen.
What?
Open these guys and just really, and hear the person.
Yeah.
Right?
That's easier said than done. And I think that the older we get, the more difficult it is to compromise our own desires and likes and preferences to accommodate someone else's. And I'm experiencing this on a daily basis, because anytime I think about having a relationship, I go, oh, it was a good idea. It would be nice, and practice what I teach about having that special butterfly feeling that I can't get from my kids or my work or my clients. It's at what cost? The cost is I can't do what I want, when I want, how I want. And so I have been working on expanding my BS, my belief system, to embrace the possibility that there is a guy out there who I wouldn't have to do that so much, that there's actually someone who would complement my schedule, my stuff, my preferences, and miracles happen. My life is a miracle. My timing is a miracle. All the things that I get to do are a miracle. I mean, last night there was like 5 different ways in which things were not going to work out, and miraculously things all worked out, and I was treated like a queen at the festival, even though this name wasn't on the list, and this name wasn't on the list, and the press pass wasn't in the, and all these things, and yet everything just worked out. So my life is an example of the law of attraction and everything working out. So why do I think that if I'm with a guy that I'm going to lose my freedom to do what I want? So I'm working on that on myself.
That is awesome. And I know we're getting close, so I just want to encourage everybody for this, because when I hear those words, right, we have to change our perspective. It's not about what we don't want. It's about what we do want. So if we could focus on what we do want in the relationship and stop those thoughts that are going through your head, well, I don't want him to tell me this, and I don't want somebody to hinder my schedule, and don't say any of that. Keep focusing on what you do want. I want that partner who's going to embrace my lifestyle. I want that butterfly feeling. I have to be open to receiving those things. We're not looking at what happened in the past. We're going from today, and we're looking forward. Affirmations are huge. And I just want to say, today, I choose to live out of my imagination and not my memory. Today is a gift.
Choose.
Oh, yes. Today I choose
to live out of my imagination instead of my memory. Oh, that's brilliant. Did you make that up?
I didn't. I read it in a book. It was a little bit more drawn out, but I use it so many times.
That's awesome. And we're getting the 1 minute. So thank you so much for joining Fired Up Fridays with Cynthia, Caughie, and Dr. Marissa. Remember, it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. Now go and have the best day or weekend.
That's right.
Ever. We'll see you next week.
Happy Friday.